if you could, give me your name and where you're from.
My name is Stephen Stacy. I live in rural Phelps County of the state of Missouri. I also have dual residency out in Colorado. In 2003, I was a morbidly obese man, about 270 pounds more than I am now. And I had Roux-en-Y gastric bypass on my birthday in 2003. I got down to 200 pounds in 18 months, which was probably way too fast. I've been doing that primarily by walking. The doctor actually told me after my 6-month mark, where I'd lost 180 pounds, that I could start exercising. Now keep in mind, I still weighed 400 pounds. So he said, I want you to start walking. I did, but I want you in the gym within 2 months because I don't want you losing muscle. I want you losing fat. Well, I heard the former, but not the latter. So I started walking. In another year, I'd walked off 200 pounds. I was right at 201 when I joined a gym. Since I was at the gym to do my walking, I thought I'd also do my weightlifting. I was in the gym 6 days a week for an hour and rested on the Lord's Day. But over time, I think I picked up some bad eating habits. And on 22 May, I was found on my front porch in a coma by my wife. When the EMTs got here, my temperature was 105.3. I was taken to the local hospital. I wear a medical bracelet for my gastric bypass. The EMTs saw that. They didn't really think, the people in the hospital, emergency room, and doctors there didn't even want to treat me. I found out recently I was left there in the emergency room until 9:30 at night. Probably, I would think they would have reduced my temperature, but I don't know. By 2:30 that morning, they had opened me up, taken out my appendix, took out 6 containers of septic poison, causing renal failure, organ failure of all kinds. They wanted to send me down to St. Louis, to a St. Louis hospital where I had my gastric bypass, but when they contacted them, there was no open ICU beds. I coded flatline dead, was revived in the ICU here in Rolla. They wanted to fly me to Columbia. They wanted to send me to a hospital that had a bariatric department. They wanted to fly me up there. They couldn't because it was a spring, it was in May, it was raining, they couldn't. So they threw me in an ambulance. We drove up there at speeds of excess 100 miles an hour because my wife and son was traveling right behind the ambulance. And for the first 90 days I was there, I had 30 abdominal operations. By the time I got out of the ICU and up on a normal floor, I also had gotten an unnecessary wound, a pressure wound, right on my tailbone that made travel, once I was discharged, after 197 days, I was discharged from that hospital with a wound manager on, a suction device, 2 kangaroo pumps to keep me alive. Every car ride that I would take would be a trip into the pain that you just cannot imagine. That's a wound that's very slow to heal. I convalesced mainly in my bed for the next year and a half when they finally decided to close me up. Now, one thing that happened in February of that year, they weren't happy with the nutrition. Because of my pressure wound, it was almost, when I would have to go to Columbia, I would usually, and I couldn't swallow pain medicine. I was on 2 types of pain medicine. Fentanyl transdermal patches, which is 100 times more powerful than morphine. And then, because I couldn't swallow any other pain medicine, they got liquid oxycodone for me and would put it through my feeding tube, which was plumbed right into the lower part of my gut. So I didn't eat a meal for 2 years because my mouth was not connected to my gut. When they finally closed me up, I begged them to pull up any excess skin to close my surgery hole that I had evenly. They didn't. They said I was too sick for that. So they pulled all this skin up here. They left all the skin down here. They also put me on 7,000 calories a day and 400 grams of protein a day. In February, in preparation to have the closing surgery in April, they weren't happy with my nutrition, so they put me on 7,000 calories of nutrition and 400 grams of protein. Neither my pre-album number or my protein number would budge from that, so they started giving me 7,000 calories a day and 400 grams of protein a day. Of course, what happened by putting me on that much nutrition, they basically put another 100 pounds on me. I had to go back this May, had another operation to take about 22 pounds of skin off me. They sent me out that time with a wound manager, 250 staples, 4 drainage tubes, no real convenient way to sit or lie. But I developed a growth out of one of my surgery lines that looked like a hernia. My plastic surgeon who took the 22 pounds of skin off me believed that it was a hernia. So they had to keep me in the hospital for 4 days to feed me some of the most powerful IV drip antibiotics that's known. And of course they sent me home, Mark. When they sent me home with enough fentanyl and Oxycodone. If I had divided it up by 7 and slapped it on 7 horses, they would drop dead. Within a couple of hours, they'd be dead. When my sister, who has a master's degree in nursing, showed me in a medical book that fentanyl was 100 times more powerful than morphine, it's been a journey I would not wish on my enemies. And now, because I have this excess weight on me that I've not been able to get back in the gym because I still have a little bit of drainage here on my abdomen. I've got a bandage on right now. And so when that finally heals, probably going to move to Colorado.
Well, tell me, how did you find out that cannabis could benefit you?
When I got so low that my family doctor threatened to put me in the hospital back in 2009 because I was down to like 180 pounds. Now, keep in mind that that would be a normal weight for a 6-foot-high man, but because I had the gastric bypass, I still had all the skin. 4 different plastic surgeons have seen me. They said 35 pounds of skin, so now imagine it, I'm 6 foot tall and I weigh about 125 pounds. And that was too little, he thought. Mm-hmm. So, because I knew the munchie capability that marijuana has, I started vaporizing marijuana to have an appetite.
I see.
But of course, with the pain, it's also, when I first moved out to Colorado, I was off that pain medicine in less than 30 days. An addiction that lasted 2.5 years. I was completely off those pain pills and those pain patches in 30 days.
And you believe that was from the cannabis?
I know it was from the cannabis. It actually was more effective. Here's the real problem with fentanyl transdermal patches. They work great the first day you put one on. They work okay the second day. They're supposed to last 72 hours. Mark, I got to the point where the fentanyl patches I was putting on my body was like getting 10 mils of morphine an hour. Now that's a huge amount of morphine. But I can tell you on the 3rd day, sometimes I would have to slap on another patch on the 3rd day because I was in so much pain. When I was discharged from the hospital after my surgery, I had a hole in my abdomen the size of a dinner plate. And I had a wound manager on it, and it was no fun. It's not anything I would wish on anybody on earth to go through what
I can't even imagine that.
Well, many people can't imagine that. There's many people who think it's a plumb miracle that I'm here. And it probably is a miracle that I'm here. I'm so proud of our nation in a certain way, in the sense that we've had 2 states now completely decriminalize marijuana. And I hope that this brings on the fall of prohibition of marijuana. Because I do wake up in so much pain in the morning, I do usually have to vaporize some medicine in the morning. It's just a way to get out of the pain quickly. And the biggest problem with any kind of pain medicine, I told my doctors that without the fentanyl, I could not do it. I could not take enough strength of oxy to take my pain away. It was like a roller coaster ride. You take the meds for an hour or two, you might be out of pain, but you'd be right back in that pain box by the time it was time for them to let you have another dose in 4 hours. They're allowing me to take that every 4 hours. And I tried my best to keep the quantity of that stuff as low as I possibly could. When I first came home, because of the way they had decided to apply these fentanyl patches, they were usually due at night. Well, when I got home, I switched that to daytime. You don't want to take that kind of medicine and go to sleep because you just may not wake up.
How important do you believe that medical cannabis has been to your recovery?
I honestly don't think I would have ever been able to get off the pain medicine. There's some people I know that have been on fentanyl for like 10 and 12 years. I think I'd still be addicted to those pain meds. I honestly do. I don't think I could have gotten off of them. I really don't think I would have gotten off those pain meds at all without the use of cannabis.
Well, I tell you what,
I think we have it.
I think we did a good job there.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Steve. Thank you. I know it's taken a bit to get this in, but
well, that's okay because I think you're doing God's work when you do this.
I appreciate that.
I honestly think that God gave us that plant on purpose for many things.